Good morning. Today we are going to discuss a famous interview question, the difference between path variable and request param. So both are looks similar, but actually they are not same. So there are some differences. If you go and explain these differences with any order, any style, that's fine. Make sure that you cover these points. I have created a table, so I have created a few features and how path variable will execute. I mean, how request param we will use for each feature. So if you look at data location means, where do we use this path variable? We use in a URL or URI where these resources, for every forward slash, we can call these are resources. We can pull these resources value by using path variable. I would say this like a user, I would say value, user value. I can pull this particular user with this particular path variable. I can pull this particular value with the path variable. But if you look at the request param, this is after the URI or URL. If you look at this is a URI, you can pull this particular products by using path variable. After the path variable, there is a question mark and there is something called key value. So path request param always act upon key value only. So you give the key, you get the value. But here path variable, you have only resources, single entity. Here key value. So these products you can access by using path variable. This sort by value will be captured with request param. Yes. Yeah, the purpose is to identify a specific resource on a part of a URL. Yeah, this is a very good line actually. Part of a URL, you can pull any token, any resource by using path variable. It clearly says path means URL. And request param, basically we go with the filtering. Sometimes when we get a rows, what we do, we filter with ascending, descending, salary and all. Those all comes under after question mark sort by. So by using request param, we can display the data much meaningful way, sorting, paging, ascending, descending. And also sometimes we pass username password. I mean, that's not a good practice, but we can pass few parameters. Those parameters we can pull with request param. See, parameters can be pulled with param, request param. That's how I remember. Param, param. Path, path. Simple. So this is the syntax. Resource, variable ID. So here users 1 to 3. Variable means 1 to 3. We get the value. Here after the question mark, key value. You can have n number of key values. You can have n number of resources forward slash. And this is how we define either path variable should be matching with the URL, and you can convert the data type into any other type explicitly, implicitly. Make sure that you should not get the error exception. Here you can use request param annotation and you need to pass the key sort by or this param name, anything, and you can do the type conversion also, no problem, similar like this. And by default, when you use this particular annotation for a variable or value, you have to provide the value. So by default, it expect a value for this particular annotation. Same here, when you use request parameters, that particular param should be given or sent. Otherwise, we get the exceptions. You can mark it as final, I mean, you can mark it as optional, and you can provide the default values. That's other way of handling it. So yeah, when you say required equal to false means you should be providing default values, both the cases. And both we can use at RESTful protocols or HTTP protocols. Basically, whenever there is a URL, you want to access the URL resources, use path variable. You want to access anything after the question mark, which is coming from the URL, key, value, you can use request param. This is the example actually. In a function, what I'm doing, users ID. So I'm mapping that particular, this users 1 to 3 is given from the URL. Users, okay. So this 1 to 3, I map it to ID. I'm getting the ID value as 1 to 3. So these users also can be mapped, but I use only one example. ID is mapped with the value 1 to 3. We get the values 1 to 3. But here if you look at, this is like a path variable, then request param here. Query equal to Spring Boot. The query value you get as Spring Boot because this particular request param is act after question mark. After question mark, request param. Before question mark, path variable. This is how I remember. So hope these details are enough. So if you can cover these details, interviewer will be happy and he will go to another question. And one more thing, both these annotations we can use at parameter level only. We cannot use these annotations at class level or other places. Both annotations can be used at functions inside a function, means parameter level only, which is common in these two. Thank you for your time.